So happy that you could join us, and I'm so pleased that you could join me here, Professor Sainfer Aliyu. Now,
thanks for having me.
My pleasure. You're from St. Elizabeth, but you have done such wonderful things. Let's start with your name. Sainfer is unusual. How did you come to have that name?
So growing up with the name Sainfer, first of all, I did not like it because I used to be teased. And so as I grew older, I asked where the name came from. My dad said when I was born, he had a dream and the angel came to him and said, call the child Sain. And so he got up the next morning and he added the fur because I think he forgot a part of the name and then it came to him. And so that's how my name came about, Sainfer. But my mom wanted to name me Deborah, so I am called Debbie. So most people in my community know me as Debbie.
And the community is Fantiland.
Fantiland.
Now, Fantiland has some connection with Ghana and the Ashanti race, and that means strength and determination and all of that. I know you'll do a little bit more on that at another time.
I will.
What was life like growing up in Fantiland?
So growing up in Fantiland, the community played a huge role in my life. I remember the neighbors watching me if my mom went out. I remember the church being a very much a part of my growing up. In fact, the church that I attended was my grandmother's church. She was very poor, but she built a church.
What was that? What denomination?
Fantiland Baptist Church, also called New Bethel Baptist Church. So that was a huge, huge part of my upbringing. But Fantiland was very fun. There was a lot of bush. In Fantiland, we had no electricity for many years until I believe 1995 we got electricity. So sometimes we were teased, but now I even have more appreciation for Fantiland when I go home and I see the nice clean bush and the nice clean air.
Plus you could see more stars when
that's
there are
true.
no
I
lights.
could see the moonshine, yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, besides that, though, there was a lot of poverty and hardship growing up. I was born to parents, Janet Gray and Norman Gray, 7 girls. I'm the second of the 7 girls. And so it was very hard for us. My father drove a taxi and my mom stayed at home, so it was extremely hard. But, you know, you learn to lean on each other. You depended on the neighbors and so on.
7 girls?
7 girls.
What was that household like?
Chaos.
How did your parents cope with you?
I'm not sure. I was very stubborn. I got beatings like almost every weekend.
Why were you getting beaten? What were you doing?
Because I was very stubborn. I wouldn't listen. I was always like very good with my schoolwork, but I just would not listen. Like if my older sister talked to me, I decided I want to do something else, I'd do it. So
you are the second?
I'm number 2 of 7.
Of 7 girls. If you have 7 children, there's a strong possibility that either parent might have a favorite. Did that happen in your home?
It did. It did. In fact, my mom was very much closer to my older sister. Her name is Peaches, and my dad was very close to me. So I could, like, even to this day, I feel like I could talk to him, and he listens very well. We get along very well. Like, I talk a lot, and I got that from my dad. And he could give me cues with his eyes, and I'd know what to do and stuff like that.
How did the other girls feel about this favorite eldest and this favorite second?
Well, it bothered them a little bit, I guess, but it wasn't anything to cause any chaos in the household. We found a nice way to balance, but if they needed something from daddy, then I would go and ask for it.
The go-between.
Yes, yes.
Holidays, what you did during the holidays? If you're in bush, no electricity and all of that, what were you up to as a child?
Play ring games, Chinese escape, marbles. I was kind of like a tomboy growing up, I would say. So I'd hang with my cousins quite a bit and try to make like a catapult or run a tire or something like that as soon as my mom is away. Like those were the ways I was stubborn, like to go and play with my male cousins. And so in the summer, I remember as I got older, I would go to an uncle in Kingston and he would send his kids down to St. Elizabeth.
The swap would take place.
Yes.
The Kingston children to the rural parts and rural to Kingston.
Yes.
You started out school at a basic school and your mother had something to do with that basic school. Am I correct?
Yes, you're correct. So the basic school started in the church that my grandmother built, and my mother was a basic school teacher. So if you had money or you didn't have money, you went to basic school. So she was my first teacher. And the little that she knew, she just taught pretty much everyone in the community. So I went to her basic school and did really well because I went to grade 1 at Goshen All Age School when I was 5. And I always was like in the top section in my class.
After Goshen All Age, you went across to Santa Cruz All Age.
So yes.
Why that change?
So I was at Goshen School All Age. I was really doing well, coming in the top 3 through grade 1 to 4. Then Daddy wanted to send me to a better school. He wanted me to be challenged. And so he went to Santa Cruz Prep to try to send me over there. And when he heard the tuition, he reversed. And then he went straight to Santa Cruz All Age because he just couldn't afford it. And so I went to Santa Cruz All Age for 2 years. And that's when I took Common Entrance and I passed and went to Manchester High School.
That year, when you were preparing for Common Entrance, how was it?
Very hectic, because Daddy should take me to school and he's always late. Sorry, Daddy, but he's always late. And so I remember just going to school very frustrated sometimes. And it was also a huge change. The schoolwork at Santa Cruz All Age was harder. I don't know what it is these days in comparison to Goshen All Age, but that was a huge change. And all my sisters were going to Goshen All Age, and I was the only one going out to Santa Cruz All Age.
And then you got your Common Entrance, and it was from Manchester High School.
Manchester High School.
Can you remember the day you got those results, how you felt?
I did. In fact, there was a shop close to the school, and we went there, me and some of the classmates, and we came out in the Gleaner at that time. And I got it and I saw my name, and we were just running and laughing, and as kids, we were very, very, very happy.